If you were to step into the wilderness of Luxor today, you would behold a magnificent mortuary temple deeply embedded into the limestone cliffs. Upon its pillars, the glorious achievements of a sovereign should have been immortalized. Yet, upon closer inspection, you would discover faces ruthlessly chiseled away from murals and names struck out with palpable fury. It is as if a formidable will sought to obliterate every trace of this person's existence from the face of the earth.
Hatshepsut, this is our protagonist.
Tonight, by the gentle flicker of the hearth, let us journey into her true life through this narrative that requires no effort to remember. She was once the beloved daughter of the gods, the only female pharaoh in ancient Egypt to don a ceremonial false beard and rule in a masculine guise. Forgotten by history for 3 millennia, she has only recently begun to speak again from beneath the rubble. When Hatshepsut's husband, Pharaoh Thutmose II, met an untimely end, the very foundations of the kingdom trembled. Left behind were a young heir of humble maternal birth and a youthful queen flowing with the purest royal bloodline. In an age where power was an exclusively masculine prerogative, Hatshepsut was expected to serve as a mere regent, lingering silently behind the veil. Instead, she made a decision that sent shivers through the entire priesthood: she would become pharaoh, the sole pharaoh. This was not merely ambition, it was a high-stakes gamble for survival. For in Egypt, only the pharaoh held the divine right to commune directly with the gods. She began to transform her vestige, casting off the ethereal gowns of a queen for the short kilt reserved for kings. Most astonishingly in the public eye, she donned the golden false beard, the ultimate emblem of sovereign authority. No longer styling herself as queen, she assumed the throne name Motker, meaning truth is the soul of Re. Through the temple priests, she proclaimed her divine origin. She was the true-born daughter of Ammonius, destined by oracle to rule this land. This self-reinvention was an act of cold, rational defense, and yet, it was also the first fissure on her path to the pinnacle. Hatshepsut's reign diverged sharply from those of pharaohs obsessed with conquest and the pursuit of bloody glory. She understood that the most enduring way to maintain power was not the sword, but a wealth so vast it would silence all dissent. Thus, in a summer etched into the annals of history, she launched an unprecedented expedition to the mysterious land of Punt, a legendary paradise abounding in gold and aromatics. Great wooden vessels traversed the Red Sea, marking history's first recorded large-scale maritime trade mission. When the fleet returned, they brought not only heavy hoards of gold but entire, living frankincense trees. She commanded these trees to be planted before her mortuary temple. In that moment, for the first time, the air of Egypt was perfumed with exotic fragrances. These scents acted as a gentle balm, allowing subjects who questioned her legitimacy to experience an unprecedented golden age. Through incense and gold rather than bloodshed and strife, she established a unique order for a female pharaoh, an order far more difficult to dismantle than one of iron-fisted rule, for such prosperity possessed a soul-healing magic. The heart of power, Hatshepsut was forever haunted by 2 ghosts. One was her growing stepson, the future Thutmose III, the young general she kept suppressed in her shadow. The other was the eternal struggle regarding her gender. In the reliefs of her temple, one finds almost no trace of feminine vulnerability. She is perpetually depicted with a robust, masculine physique. This deliberate concealment reflected a profound, ultimate sense of isolation. She even elevated an architect of humble origins, Senenmut, who was whispered to be not only her confidant but her lover. Within the temple, she reserved a clandestine place for him, tucked away behind her own sanctuary. This sliver of emotional solace, sought within the cracks of rigid protocol, was the female pharaoh's only vulnerability. By day, she had to perform as the perfect man and a majestic god. Only in the dead of night within the inner palace did she dare look into the mirror at her true self. It was a kind of deified loneliness, experienced from the heights of the world. Hatshepsut ruled for 22 years, perhaps the most serene decades of the New Kingdom. When she finally transitioned into eternal sleep, the stepson she had long overshadowed ascended the throne. In the latter half of his reign, a massive, systematic campaign of erasure erupted. Every inscription identifying Hatshepsut as pharaoh was chiseled away, her statues were toppled and hurled into quarries. Some call this vengeance, yet many scholars believe it was an act to preserve the continuity of power. According to ancient Egyptian logic, to acknowledge that a woman could be pharaoh was to risk the collapse of the divinely ordained order. They sought to graft those 22 years of prosperity onto the legacies of her husband or her successor. Thus, Hatshepsut became the forgotten woman, her name expunged from the king lists. Not until 3,000 years later did archaeologists discover the fractured stone blocks beneath the debris of Luxor. As the scattered puzzle pieces were reunited to spell her name once more, the female pharaoh finally emerged from the deep sea of oblivion. Ultimately, Hatshepsut won this gambit across time and space. The chisels may have marred her features, but they could not destroy the serene power she left behind. Today, the Nile still flows gently past, and her mortuary temple remains standing under the golden sun. It teaches us that true strength does not always need to be proven by the destruction of others. With frankincense and trade, she carved out a gentle oasis within a jungle ruled by men. To answer the riddle from the prologue, why try to erase her? Because she performed too well, so well that she struck fear into the traditions that followed. Tonight, our tale of oblivion and resurrection comes to a close. May you find a tranquility of your own in the composure of this female pharaoh. In this long night, you may sleep soundly, for even the deepest oblivion cannot eclipse the radiance of truth.
Good night.